And it's important to understand that, especially when we're dealing with self, right? Because sometimes, you know, we struggle with self-worth, right? We struggle with, you know, when it comes to our identity, we struggle sometimes with self-esteem, all of these different things. But when you read here in the scriptures, it says that we were fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous is his works, right? He's still testifying about how God and what he did in our lives and how he did when it came to creating us. And when you look at the word fearfully, when it's translated from the Hebrew, it means with great reverence, heartfelt interest, and with respect. So it says that God, he fearfully made us. He made us with great reverence, right? Like he paid attention to the detail. Wonderfully, when translated from the Hebrew, means unique and set apart. And that's the key that I want to dig into here, is that you're unique and you're set apart. You're not supposed to be like anybody else. And I know I've been going hard on this all year long, but you would be surprised in how so many people look at other people's lives, look at how other people are doing, what they're doing, and not have an understanding of, listen, you are set apart. You're not supposed to be like that person, right? You are supposed to be you. You are unique within yourself. God put you here. He fearfully and wonderfully made you for you to do something here for him, right? That nobody else can do. Why? Because there's only one you. Right? You may go around the world or around your country, wherever it is you live, and see somebody that kind of looks like you or maybe almost like a twin to you, but they are still not you, right? Their purpose is still not your purpose. And that's what I wanted to encourage you guys on today, is give God praise because you were fearfully and wonderfully made. Give God praise because God made you with reverence, right? He made you according to detail. He was focused with a heartfelt interest, right? You know, give God praise that you were wonderfully made, right? That means unique and set apart. And this is something that you have to understand too in knowing these things, because I think this is where a lot of people get hung up on when it comes to what it is that they're doing here, how well it is that they feel they're doing, because a lot of times we check or rate our life statistics on how we're doing on somebody else's life or what we see somebody else doing. But what you have to understand is, if you're going to work on self, if you're going to be a better you for the Lord and for other people, you have to understand that everybody's process is different. Remember, we are unique and set apart. Everybody's process is different. It's not meant to be the same, right? Like I was thinking recently about my son Trevor. And I remember, this was some years ago now. He's in 8th grade now, but some years ago, I can't even remember. It's been that many years ago, but he was in school and he had an issue with sitting down. You know, he had a lot of energy. He was busy and this and that. And I remember them having a meeting with us and trying to pretty much talk to us about, you know, putting them in, you know, special ed. And then, you know, eventually that whole medicine thing was going to come, and ADHD and all these different things that they wanted to talk about because they felt like he wasn't sitting still and stuff. And I would say, like, not even, this is no exaggeration, not even a year, maybe a year and a half later, we didn't have any more of those problems. Like, we didn't hear any more about it. Why? Because after a year or so, that was something that he just pretty much stopped doing, right? Like, he didn't have an issue in class and being busy and being a little disruptive, because even then when he was being busy, it wasn't even like he was disrupting or being mean to other people or talking back to the teacher. He wasn't doing any of those things. He just couldn't just stay still. He just was moving all the time. But, you know, a year and a half to 2 years after that, he's the total opposite. Like, he's not moving around. He liked to play a lot. You know, sometimes, you know, I was like, Trev, stop playing around. But but other than that, what he was dealing with, you know, then, you know, he no longer deals with it. And I remember being in a meeting and, you know, it was upsetting my wife, you know, the way they were talking. And I had to tell her, I said, listen, don't cry. It's going to be all right. It's a process. Everybody is different. The problem with in the world, you know, in this world, is we feel like everybody has to be where the quote unquote system says that we should be. Everybody should be on this reading level. If you're 40 something years old, you should already have this by now. That's not true. Everybody's process is different because different things happen in people's lives. And then you have some people that get to those benchmarks quickly and then later down the road lose those things, right? So we have to understand that, listen, my process isn't somebody else's process. I don't have to rush and try to do what you're doing to quote unquote get where you are. No, let me flow at my pace. Let me do what it is that God wants me to do and get to where God wants me to get to. Now, when I say flow at my pace, we're not talking about procrastination, right? That's not an excuse for you not to do what it is you're supposed to be doing or be lackadaisical and lazy. We've talked about those things, right? We're not talking about that, but we're truly talking about being efficient, but at your pace, right? Not being in a rush, not trying to do what somebody else is doing. Because another thing we talked about many a times, we don't know what these other individuals are doing or how they got in these positions, right? Because sometimes later on we find out that, listen, it wasn't all on the up and up. So you just got to be you and understand that you are fearfully and wonderfully made.